brutal to watch.
Speedster.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, fuck! What is up? Welcome to week 4 of the fantasy football season after an exhilarating week 3. A ton of matches coming down to Monday night, most of them including kickers, which personally is kind of an affront to the game if you ask me. But a lot of real booty clinchers on Monday night, myself and Trevor. The big one being Tim and Raleigh having that Monday night showdown after both putting up the highest scores of the week. Just an insane game. Cameron and Charlie came down to Monday night to some degree. Wade and John had players playing on Monday night for sure. But like I said, it's just an insane week, an exhilarating week. The Dolphins scored 70 fucking points in an NFL game. Playing, I don't know, an FCS school. What the fuck was that? That was crazy. And the highest scorer of the week is a waiver wire guy. The rookie is his first game? I think he got like 2 touches before. Anyway, just an insane week. Let's get right into the league business here. First off, congratulations to Andrew for winning last week's little challenge mini game for highest margin of victory, taking home the dub over Ashley. So congratulations to him. Let's go on and look at what this week's mini game is going to be. Did I change the music? Fuck. No, I didn't. I just left my speakers on accident. There we go. Now they're in the headphones. I wonder why everything was fucking quiet. Highest scoring bench. Wow. Pretty sure a lot of people could have qualified for this last week and week 1 and week 2. We've had some real barn burners on the bench here lately. If I know anything about myself, it's that I'll leave a 25-point receiver on the bench. So hey, I might fuck around and win this week. Highest scoring bench, everyone. So set the worst lineup you possibly can. Whatever. Highest scoring bench. It's exciting. Weird. Let's get right into the rankings this week. No movement at the very top with Wade going to 3-0. Biggest mover of the week was myself, jumping up from 9th to 2nd. For those of you keeping score, that was from 1st to 9th, and from 9th now to 2nd place. We'll see if I jump to 8th. Let's just fucking ping pong this shit back. Andrew slides into 3rd place at 2-1. Cameron as the lowest team in the 2-1 slot. Big move here from Tim, finally getting a win, and because of his points, just shooting straight up to the 5th place spot. John moving up to 6th. John in a losing effort moving up to 6th place. Head to head, just so much fun. Then we got Charlie sliding down to 7th, Ashley sliding down to 8th, Raleigh falling all the way down to 9th place, and Trevor falling down to last place. Still a lot of season left. The head to head in the short, small sample size makes this a little weird, but big opportunity up here for the top 3 or 4 to start separating themselves and getting a little bit of a cushion going into the midseason and later on for the playoff push. And a big opportunity here for your Tims, your Wades, your Tims, your Raleighs, your Trevors, even Ashley, to kind of get a win and start to fight back in going into the season. John and Charlie, you got some work to do, guys. But that's another video altogether. All right. Jumping right into the matchups, as always, we're going to start with our first place team, which historically has meant we just always start with Raleigh. Apparently this season this means that Wade's going to get talked about first every single week, apparently. Oh, shit. Just smacked the fucking microphone. My bad. And it skipped over it, but I am recording this on Tuesday, so no waivers are processed. It's the only day I had time to do it, so sorry. We know with the waiver priority, Trevor's going to get A-Chain and everybody else is going to get a bunch of players that probably won't even really make an impact this year. So congrats, Trevor, on getting the highest scoring fantasy starter of the season. Yeah, so moving on. Wade and Charlie. Hey, this one could get really ugly. I tried to find some things to write, but realistically, especially if Austin Eckler starts this week, which it appears that he is on track to, and he gets a pretty favorable matchup in the Raiders. I wrote down this could be the clowning of the season. It's a real shame, Wade, you didn't have this matchup last week. But or is there a path for Charlie to win? Probably not. I mean, Bijan has a very favorable matchup against the Jaguars. I think Bijan should put up some very productive points this week. Debo is dealing with what is it, a rib injury? Yeah, he got popped in the ribs last Thursday, and they're playing the Cardinals, which we keep saying should get smoked, and you shouldn't need your starters for the Cardinals, but here they are. They just beat the Cowboys, and they gave the Giants the run for their money in week 2. I do think the 49ers being a much better coach team, being a much better prepared team than either of those, it shouldn't matter. I don't think the Giants are gonna, or sorry, I don't think the 49ers are gonna do what the Cowboys and the Giants have done to the Cardinals. I think it's gonna be a bloodbath, and I think we finally kind of see the Cardinals come back down to earth a little bit, especially Josh Dobbs. All that to say, Debo shouldn't have to be used that often. If he is dealing with some ribs, you could see him sparingly get in, maybe on a pitch count. Same, but it's kind of the same goes for George Kittle. I think the 49ers are just going to run the ball down the Cardinals' throats, and there's really nothing that can be done about it. And not even saying that McCaffrey's going to have a big game. I think you might get a big heaping of Elijah Mitchell early and often, just to kind of rest up the boys. Pickens could be the spark that Charlie needs here. He gets a decent matchup in Houston. I think Derek Stingley's still dealing with some issues. Is he going to miss multiple games? I think. Either way, even if Derek Stingley's in, I mean, the Texans don't have a ton. They did just hold Trevor Lawrence and the Jags down a little bit, but it's kind of looking like the Jags aren't what we thought the Jags were going to be. So George Pickens is kind of your big play hope for Charlie here, and if he and Bijan can get something going, maybe you could make a case where he could sneak in there. But I mean, Hurts against the Commanders, James Cook in a shootout with Miami, Devontae Adams playing the try. I didn't even talk about Devontae Adams, who had him just coming off a monster game against the Steelers, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. And now he gets the Chargers, who Justin Jefferson put up 150 yards on. The stack with Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts. I don't see any path that Charlie can realistically overcome Wade here. And like I said, if Eckler gets in and you have Eckler, James Cook, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Puka Nacua maybe getting back on track, could be the clowning of the season. Obviously, I'm going to go with Wade as a winner here. I don't think we're going to find a lot of people, including Charlie, who would fight me on that. Maybe he would. Charlie's a fighty person and he loves his team. Just going right down the top here. Next, we're going to move on to Cameron versus Andrew. A couple of interesting maybe strategy options that Cameron might have here. Cameron's biggest weapon is Patrick Mahomes and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson obviously being the key difference for his team and why he's going to win most of the games he's going to win this year. Patrick Mahomes being just that beacon of consistency. The reason it's interesting is Travis Kelce. Andrew has Travis Kelce, and most of Mahomes' touchdown production comes through Travis Kelce. You got to think that most, if not all, of Mahomes' touchdowns this week are going to be neutralized, especially against a bad Jets team that won't be able to keep up scoring with them. I kind of the same thing. If the Chiefs ever wanted to try to get a run game going, this will be the week. So as far as the strategy, Cameron does have Tua sitting down there, who just, I don't know if you saw The Dolphins just scored 70 fucking points on the Broncos. They're going to be in a shootout with the Bills this week. I tend to think, me personally, just to try to get away from this Mahomes-Kelsey combo a little bit, that you maybe just throw a punt out there with Tua and see what the fuck happens. Just a thought, just an idea that I had when I was scanning up and down this lineup. Because otherwise, I don't really see a path for Cameron. So I guess I do. I guess I do see a path. That was dumb. The path is Justin Jefferson torches the Panthers, and Mahomes throws 4 touchdowns to not Travis Kelce. The latter being very unlikely. Going back over to Andrew's side, I do think Olave with Jameis is very interesting. Obviously, we've seen Calvin Ridley struggle the last couple weeks after that big first week. But he does get a favorable matchup now with Atlanta. And maybe what looks to be a get-right game for Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Oh, that's the Toy Story game. Oh, yeah, that's sick. Sorry, Andrew gets the Toy Story game. Calvin Ridley. Speaking of the Toy Story game, Trevor's gonna have a fucking blast watching that one. Olave with Jameis is very interesting. Jameis loves to sling it. Olave loves to run deep. I think it could end up being a lot better, and especially if you look at Jameis in a revenge game against the Bucs, who just got absolutely throttled by the Eagles on Monday night. Anyway, going through all that. Oh, and the other thing, Andrew, when at what point do you start to trust Joe Burrow again? I tend to think it's this week. He gets the Titans. He gets an awful secondary. If he can't do it this week, if he can't get back to vintage Joe Burrow, it may end up being a long season, and it looks like a streaming QB season for you, which you already have Jared Goff, so that kind of works out. But another interesting thing to keep an eye on. Honestly, I picked Andrew here, and it's specifically for the Travis Kelce, taking away anything that Mahomes is going to get for Andrew. I mean, sorry, for Cameron. I also noted here, talking about Joe Burrow, having a weak secondary to throw against in the Titans, that kind of fucks Cameron a lot, because the Titans do actually have a very good defensive line, a very good run defense. So I don't think Joe Mixon's going to get a lot of use on the ground. Maybe he gets some work in the passing game. That would be nice for Cameron, but then again, you kind of get back in the same situation where you got Joe Burrow on the other side throwing to him. So I think all of those things coming together, Andrew takes the victory here. Next game, we got myself versus Ashley. This is the part 2 of the Stevenson Gauntlet I have here in week 3 and 4. Just narrowly escaped Trevor. The big thing I have here on this matchup is I got Ashley 1 week, perfectly 1 week. I don't know, 1 week too early. Next week, she's going to have Saquon and Jonathan Taylor. That's kind of what I'm getting at. She may have Saquon this week. I don't know how much you trust him to play on Monday night, and not have a viable starter ready to go in case he does sit. Kind of a question mark there. And if he is good to go Monday night, is he 100%? But if Jonathan Taylor could come back and do what Zach Moss has been doing, but better, because he's better than Zach Moss. Basically, if the Colts can be as good as they have looked the first couple of weeks, Jonathan Taylor may end up being a pretty big steal in the draft. I do love him for going on the IR, just specifically so he could avoid playing against me. I really appreciate that from my boy. But be on the lookout there. Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley as your RB1 and 2. Oh, and by the way, she has DeAndre Swift, who has put up 150 yards in 2 straight games. It was definitely over 175 and 130. 1 touchdown between those 2 games, but he looks awesome. He looks unstoppable. Obviously, my team took a big hit this week. Mike Williams is on IR. We did get the one, I mentioned it in Discord, we did get the one Mike Williams game before he went down. 121 yards and a touchdown. Huge game. But he is done for the season. Unfortunately, on one hand, that sucks. I loved having the Herbert stack there, especially when you get favorable matchups. Wasn't going to start him every week, but in favorable matchups, I liked having him there. But it does make some of the decision making a lot clearer. CD and Ayuk were already going to be my 1-2 punch. And now you're down to, Nico Collins, Breece Hall, and Michael Pittman. And honestly, Breece Hall is in timeout until the Jets can figure just literally anything out. And for Ashley, it's going back to the Toy Story game. Last week I called it Kyle Pitts' last chance. He didn't do anything. Maybe he's good in London. I don't know. Maybe Toy Story Kyle Pitts can finally show up. The one thing that scares me about Ashley, obviously, like I said, DeAndre Swift has gone over 100 in back-to-back games. Najee looks awful to start the season. He kind of looked bad last year. But he gets the Texans, who give up a lot of yards on the ground. In fact, close to the most yards on the ground. So I'm not going to call it a get-right game because I don't think it's going to fix him for the season. But I do think we have a big-time Najee game here. Saying all that, until Jonathan Taylor and Saquon get into the lineup, there's just not a lot. Jalen Waddle in the shootout with the Bills, but he's coming off of an injury, and the Dolphins just showed you they don't need him necessarily. So I don't know. Is there a path for her to beat me? Absolutely, 100%. Do I think it's likely? Probably not. I do really like the matchups I have this week. McCaffrey against the Cardinals. I've already talked about the 49ers against the Cardinals a little bit. Expect a big first half and then him to just kind of sit down. The Cowboys need to put something on tape, so I'm hoping CeeDee Lamb gets there. Same thing with Ayuk that I said with McCaffrey. Need a big first half. And then Hawkinson should just shred the Panthers. Don't know who I'm going to flex yet. Maybe it's Nico Collins. Maybe it's Michael Pittman. Y'all won't know until Sunday. Yeah, as far as a prediction here, I'm gonna pick myself, but there's a path. There's a path for Ashley, and it's DeAndre Swift and Najee Harris. Sliding on down to really just a tale of two seasons here. They have the same record. They're both 1-2. The point differential between these two might be, I think it's the largest in the league. It absolutely is. 410 to 237. Somebody do the math. That's what is that, 173 points. We have John and Tim. Tim being the highest scorer, John being the lowest scorer. They're playing each other this week. Yikes. John, which QB are you going to start? Is it Kirk Cousins? Is it Jordan Love? Is it Justin Fields? There have been some rumblings that you might move on from Justin Fields. By the time this video is out, we'll know. I won't release it till after the waivers. Just because it feels weird to not talk about waivers and then let Trevor be like, oh, A-Chain scored 50 points. Yeah, all right. Yeah, which QB are you gonna start, dude? It's Kirk Cousins is the answer. The other thing when is Jahmyr Gibbs gonna kind of finally get his footing? I think David Montgomery's still gonna be out this week. I think it's a couple more weeks. Had 80 yards on the ground, 1 reception. Not really the explosiveness we expected out of him, at least as far as I can see on paper. I didn't actually get to watch the game. But on paper, not a lot of the explosiveness, and still has yet to find the end zone in his rookie season. And as much as I made about Kyle Pitts' last chance, this is Garrett Wilson's last chance. Until they make a change at quarterback. Kansas City, while they do have a good defense with Chris Jones back, the secondary still has some question marks. Garrett Wilson should slice them up, no problem. It's just, does he have somebody to get him the football? We've seen it's not Zach Wilson. He's hit him a couple times. They just signed Trevor Siemian, so maybe we see that. Either way, we have to watch this shit show of a game on Sunday Night Football. So if you need, once again, if you need some brownie points to do something for a significant other on a Sunday night, this is probably the week to do it. Yeah, Garrett Wilson's last chance. I think Tom Petty wrote that. Tim is coming off a monster week. He had, Tyreek Hill, fucking what, Mike Evans had a touchdown. Sam Laporta had a big week. Just crazy. Set the season high for scoring. And now he gets to turn around and take all of that Miami energy and put it into a Buffalo Miami game that should be a shootout. It is in Buffalo, but it is going to be the end of September, beginning of October, so no snow, at least probably not snow. Who the fuck knows in Buffalo? But Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, just trading blows, going back and forth. The only question mark I have about his lineup is what is he gonna do about the defense? Because you can't leave the Bills in there. The Dolphins just put up 70 fucking points. So yeah, if that's your biggest question mark, you're probably gonna have a good week. And actually, I lied. Your biggest question mark is James Conner because he's playing the best defense in the league. So what are you gonna do with James Conner? Actually, it's probably gonna be Javonte Williams against the Bears, even though he hates Javonte Williams and all of Denver, just like the rest of us. As far as picking a winner here, nobody should be surprised. It's really not that difficult to pick. It's going to be Tim. And actually, looking back at this, we have got a lot of matchups that I think are going to be blowouts, which means I think a lot of teams in the winner circle are going to lose this week, because every time we think it's going to be an easy week for everyone, it's not. This last game I'll probably spend the most time on because it's by far the most interesting. Also, two teams that are 1-2. Two teams coming off of very, very tough Monday night losses. Raleigh having put up the second most points of the week and losing to Tim, who we just mentioned. And Trevor had to make a tough decision about Jamar Chase on Sunday night. Ended up at the last minute putting in Jacoby Myers, not trusting Burrow to play, and even if he does play with a strained calf. A decision that ended up costing him a win. However, it did get him into last place, giving him an open free invite for Devon A-Chain. Really interesting here. I talked about Joe Burrow a little bit earlier in a get right spot for him. This matchup featuring Jamar Chase versus T. Higgins. Jamar Chase had his get right game. He's back. He's good. 141 yards. He killed the Rams all night. I don't see why he is not going to just run wild on the Titans. The bigger question mark is, can T. Higgins get in on that feast a little bit as well? He had a decent game in week 2. He got 2 touchdowns. Still not a ton of yardage. And then Monday night, he looked fucking terrible. He's dropping balls left and right. I think Trevor called him bricks for hands. He looked real fucking bad. So Chase is going to get his. The question is, can T get his as well? Is Joe Burrow healthy enough and slinging it enough to feed them both? Is there enough to go around? Very, very interesting questions. Going into this, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did write game of the week on this one. That's 2 E's. Everybody calm down. They're two good teams. We also feature a matchup here of just casually RB1 versus wide receiver 1. Just as we all thought, it's Raheem Mostert versus Keenan Allen. Raheem Mostert coming off of back-to-back multi-touchdown games. He had 4 touchdowns last week, 2 touchdowns the week before, even had a touchdown in week 1. Obviously, the Dolphins all had multiple touchdowns last week. But Keenan Allen coming off of a 18-catch, 215-yard game where he failed to find the end zone. Through the air, he did throw for a touchdown. Unluckily enough for Trevor, it was to Mike Williams, rest in peace. But just eating receptions left and right. And now with Mike Williams out, he's not getting any less targets, I'll tell you that. So, just a battle of heavyweight position leaders right here. And 2 that we did not see coming. I don't know how long it's going to last with Raheem Mostert. We've obviously seen A-Chain even outscore him last week. And then you have Jeff Wilson probably coming back next week or the week after that. So it's really interesting to see how long we'll keep this up. But at least you got another week. And Buffalo gave up some chunk plays against the Jets in week 1. We saw Breece Hall have that 80-yard touchdown. And we kind of thought, oh, it's just Breece Hall being Breece Hall, but then he hasn't really done it since. So, yeah, that's it. Sorry, I definitely lost my place. Yeah, Derrick Henry's old. That sucked to watch. It sucks to watch all season. He's not old. He's fine. he's perfectly fine. He had decent games in weeks 1 and 2. He's yet to cross 100 yards on the ground this season. Did have the first week he had 100 yards from scrimmage, but he's yet to have 100 yards rushing. And he gets a decently tough matchup in Cincinnati this week. Cleveland just absolutely shut him down. 11 rushes for 20 yards. It was tough to watch. I actually didn't even write down a winner here, so you're gonna watch me pick this off the cuff. And really, it comes down to there's a lot of similarities in these two teams. I mentioned the top of the position. I mentioned the Bengals wide receivers. Some running backs that have potential to put up big numbers, Kenneth Walker, and for Trevor, you've got Henry and Jacobs. And really, the pick comes down to which team do I trust more. And actually, I just saw something that's going to make me switch at the last second, because I do think this is going to be a very, very close game. Probably decided by 5 or 6 points. And where those 5 or 6 points are going to come from is the defense. Trevor riding strong with the Dolphins defense. We'll see if he makes a change before game day. But I think the Cowboys defense, who did just get embarrassed by the Cardinals, is going to put up one of those disgusting Cowboys stat lines against the Patriots. Also, free lock Ezekiel Elliott touchdown this week against the Cowboys, if you want to go ahead and put that in somewhere. So actually, last second, I'm going to switch, and I'm going to go with Raleigh pulling off the V in week 4. Upsetting Trevor a little bit. The projections have it 116 to 107, but I think the defense is going to be the difference, shockingly enough. I was going to say about Trevor's team, who in a close game, who do I value in its consistency? Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Trevor Lawrence, all proven names, but I think there's going to be a difference maker, and it's going to be the Cowboys defense, and I think Lamar Jackson shows up to play against Cleveland. So Raleigh, congratulations on your win in week 4. Yeah, wow, I got this done in under 30 minutes. That's crazy. Probably because I was in a hurry. Anyway, good luck out there, everybody. I should have scanned it. Actually, that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna scan benches real quick and see who the fuck is taking it home based on who is starting right now. And up front, Raleigh has AJ Brown, Khalil Herbert, and Rashad White on his bench. Trevor has ETN, Jerry Jeudy, Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby. That could be interesting. Jacoby Myers also interesting if he stays there and doesn't get put in at the last second on Monday night. It's not going to be Charlie, I can tell you that. Hopkins, Elliott, Hunt, Isabella, Freiermuth, Bryce Young. 2 of those aren't even going to play this week. The Ezekiel Elliott touchdown is interesting. I mean, Eckler's not staying on the bench, and if he is, he's scoring 0. Jordan Addison, Jalen Warren, Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Ertz is I kind of like Wade in the clubhouse right now. Brandon Cooks, Dalvin Cook, no. Oh, Tua. Joshua Kelly's still sitting there. I don't think it's gonna be my bench. They're all fucking hurt. And it's not gonna be Ashley's bench because they're all fucking hurt. And it's not. Honestly, John, I respect the move. I respect the move of having 4 quarterbacks. I know we said you're probably going to drop at least 1, if not 2. But if John has all 3 quarterbacks on his bench and Anthony Richardson plays, John's going to win. So there you go. Officially, I'm going to say John because he's got 3 quarterbacks on his bench. But I think if John's smart and gets rid of a bunch of those, it'll end up being Wade. Anyway. That's your week 4 preview. Very short one today, very quick. There's only so much I can say about these guys week in and week out. The teams don't change that much. Good luck.